So what has Ange Postecoglou done to make Tottenham Hotspur great again? And by great, what I mean is sort of where we were for 24 months under Pochettino's Tottenham, around 2016 to 2018. That's great in relative terms to Tottenham Hotspur. So what has Big Ange done? Well, mainly we're buzzing because we're playing quality football, not least because, we've spent 3 or 4 years playing terrible football under Nuno, Mourinho and Conte, but we're playing great football now, really interesting football. In fact, no other team has amassed more shots on target in the Premier League than Tottenham Hotspur, and also we have the highest number of XG, highest amount of XG, if that means something to you. Fundamentally, it's not only are we creating more chances than everybody else, but the quality of chance we're creating is better than every other team in the league as it stands. But mostly it's about the way the team play collectively, how fun it is to watch. This Tottenham Hotspur side is one that can only be compared in recent times to that Pochettino team in 2016, where there's such a freedom, such a belief in ourselves. The players are playing with a level of understanding and a level of aspiration that we haven't seen in a long time. It's almost like they're playing with the shackles off. We've got a young squad. I think the first 11's around the average age of about 23. It's young. They're playing as if they're not burdened by the shackles of failure that many teams in the past, many Tottenham Hotspur teams in the past have been shackled by. This team, under Postecoglou's tutelage and direction, is saying we play with freedom. We understand the way football is played in the correct way. We understand the beautiful game, and this is the only way that we're going to play football at Tottenham. And that's all comes from Postecoglou's direction. This is the way we play. We're here to entertain, and that's it. There is no circumstances where we cannot play this way, and we may lose. And if we do lose, eventually, one day, soon, maybe, then so be it. But fundamentally, the direction is the correct one, which is entertainment and grabbing the opponents by the throat. Players are bought into Postecoglou straight away. I mean, every message that's come out of the football club from the players about their manager has been one that's super positive. The players have been talking about how every day he seems to find a way to regale a story or tell them a narrative that relates to them, that enables them to feel like they want to run through brick walls for their manager. You often hear it from players when things are going well. Kulusevski, for example, talks a lot about Conte. You're talking him up, essentially. And yet it didn't feel like that was a reality on the pitch. Whereas under Postecoglou, what the players are saying are playing out on the pitch. We're seeing desire, we're seeing a level of motivation, which means that we're getting results. And it's all well and good players saying something and not seeing it on the pitch. At Spurs, we're seeing this holistic, positive energy from the training ground pictures to the quotes that come out through the press conferences that Ange Postecoglou, seemingly waltzes through with ease, and the league table as well and the results we've got. So yeah, it's Tottenham Hotspur is a positive place for these players to play football. And this is all down to Postecoglou. And even more crucial than that, the players that are not playing are being supportive. Emerson Royal came out and understood that Pedro Porro is number one at the moment, but he's just going to continue to work hard and do what he can for the team. And when he's played and he's come off the bench several times this season, he's done very well. You can see the application is there and that he respects the manager. Hojbjerg is another one, a player that looked like he was going off to Atletico Madrid in the summer, a deal of around 30 to 40 million euros. A lot of Spurs fans were saying, that's good money. He's a good player. He kind of does divide the opinion of Hojbjerg, but he's a good player for good money. Let's wish him well on his way. In reality, he's played a bit part role in the first team this year, but has done so with a level of professionalism that can only be down to the respect between Hojbjerg and Postecoglou. He's come off the bench, apart from the game he started against Fulham. He's come off the bench to secure games, to make us look like we can control a game when we're leading, whereas previously, under other managers, we seemingly unable to do that. Hojbjerg has been a massive part in us stopping difficult situations from arising in the latter part of Premier League football games. And he doesn't want to be doing that. He wants to be playing. He's good enough to be playing. He'd probably be captain at most clubs he'd walk into. And at Spurs, he's playing a bit part role, which is beneath the level that he's been playing at and probably beneath the level that he considers himself to be able to play at. So, yeah, I mean, and he's there being professional and playing under Postecoglou. Again, a testament to the manager. There are many questions also about Postecoglou's tactics, and we had them on the Fighting Cock podcast. We talked about whether his open style would be too much for the Premier League, with good attacking lines, which are present in the vast majority of Premier League sides, will they be able to get at our back line? Would we be too open? Would we be torn apart by the likes of Arsenal and Manchester United and Liverpool and other top teams? And the proof is in the pudding. The fact that as it stands, it hasn't happened. Arsenal are one of the best attacking teams in Europe. And that game at the Emirates this season showed that our tactics, defensively and in attack, was better over 90 minutes than theirs as that single bit of evidence as a football game. You know, it's early days for Postecoglou. There will be times where we do get exploited on the counter-attack. And that's probably something that will never completely be solved. But it's something you have to get used to. But the fact that we've managed to get 10 games, as at the time of recording, 10 games without having any major issues and actually having to sometimes rely on the quality of the defence and the goalkeeper, it just shows you how far along we are at this stage and where might we be in a couple of years, which we'll come on to. And remember the squad that Postecoglou took over, Conte's squad. It was one that was built for a 3-4-3 with attacking wing-backs. We all thought that Porro and Udogie weren't going to be able to play as full-backs, certainly not specialist inverted full-backs who, for the vast majority of the games when we're in possession, they play as central midfielders. But he did that. He turned these players that we thought were unable to do it to the level that we hoped and has made them thus far into excellent full-backs / inverted full-backs / midfielders. He's done that in a very short amount of time. He's also returned Heung-min Son to the player he was before last season. You know, there was a lot wrong with Son last season, not least it was Conte's system that didn't suit the way he played. He stuck out on the left, a lot of back to goal, trying to hold up balls and bringing the midfield in. In reality, that's not his football. He was also carrying that hernia operation, so you have to remember that. But this Heung-min Son is about as good as we've ever seen him. And, you know, the Postecoglou has to take some responsibility for that. He needs to be credited with that. And to make him captain, I've never seen a captain as happy as Heung-min Son. There's a different way to be a captain of a Premier League team. You might be Roy Keane, where it's stern, lead by example, everyone has to be accountable. Or you could be someone like Heung-min Son, who leads by example, but in a way that is ensuring that his squad is as motivated and as happy as possible, and identifying the players that might be struggling, like Richarlison or Bentancur coming back from his injury, making sure that they get their flowers when they perform well or have this seismic moment in their careers where, in Bentancur's case, returning from an ACL. There was also when Van de Ven scored. The celebrations at the end of the game, pushing Van de Ven towards the fans, so ensuring that the fans, the media and everyone understands that this player was crucial in this moment. And Heung-min Son is elevating and creating a platform for that to happen. It's small things, but they're massive. They're massive in order creating and maintaining a squad harmony. Also, he's got massive performances out of players that were new to the squad. Udogie as well. Like, of all the fans that I've spoken to of other clubs, Udogie's been the one that's really stood out for them, that they've been impressed with the most. Obviously, Mickey Van de Ven, who has been flying under the radar. Spurs fans have acknowledged very quickly how good a defender he is. He's starting to get noticed now, and they're starting to realise that we've got a player on our hands. And for someone who's 22, it looks like he's 32 in terms of the way he reads the game and how he understands it and how comfortable he is. It's unreal. And like I mentioned earlier, there are elements to Postecoglou's system that couldn't be exploited, that can be got at. And it's having players like Van de Ven, whose ability to recover at such pace, and then when he managed to get to the ball, have the composure to turn it and play it back into Tottenham's possession so that we can rebuild. It sounds such an easy thing to chase a ball down and recycle it, but it's not easy in the Premier League. And there's a great moment in the Palace game where Will Hughes, not the fastest, I admit, but he got the ball and essentially could have been through on the goal if he had the pace. It wasn't the fact that he was ever going to get there. He wasn't. It's Will Hughes. But Van de Ven was on him before he could really even get the ball out from under his feet. He'd taken the ball off him, and what could have been a dangerous situation if Will Hughes had time to look up and play Edouard in, he wasn't able to, but Van de Ven was on him like a rash. Insane performances from the Dutchman. And on top of that, you've got the best player in the league, James Maddison, who, according to Who Scored, has an average rating of 7.72, which is higher than any other player in the league, including all the ones you want to mention. Saka, Rodri, Haaland, all of them. Don't rate as well if you take the average ratings across the season. James Maddison has been a sensation And do you know why he's been a sensation? Because Postecoglou has allowed him the freedom to play how he likes. He essentially has the freedom of the pitch. He can drop deep into 6 if he needs to collect the ball. If he's out of the game, Postecoglou gives him the freedom to try and get back into it. In the same way that Kane did previously, where he would have to drop deep. The chasm that was left by Harry Kane when he would drop deep isn't the same as James Maddison when he drops deep. Because essentially it's his role as a creative midfielder to make things happen. And Postecoglou gives him the freedom to do it, and he's enjoying it because of that freedom. He's become the key part of our build-up play, and he's so good. And he was always so good. But many people have said about James Maddison that we didn't realise how good he was. Spurs fans have said it, but fans of other clubs and pundits are saying it now. You didn't realise how good he was because he hasn't had a manager like Postecoglou before who just give him the freedom to play the way he wants to play. Look at him at England. When he shoved out on the left, he played 2 games and he was poor in both because you're not making the best of James Maddison. That's not to take anything away from him. That's not to take anything away from him, but he's got Jude Bellingham probably in his position that he'd get the most out of. And out of all of the creative midfielders in world football, Jude Bellingham is probably the one who's a little bit better than James Maddison. But there ain't much in it. It's just that geezer's a fucking phenom. So what happens now with Ange Postecoglou? Well, not a lot really. He continues to lay the foundations for the building at which he aims to construct. And that might take, in his own words, 2 or 3 transfer windows. This is a great start, but there's no doubting that regardless of Postecoglou's prowess and his underestimated abilities and the incredible start that he's had, that the squad is lighter than it necessarily hoped. I'm saying that though. Is this squad good enough as it stands to get into the Champions League? Yes, it is good enough. Is it good enough to win the title? No. So you would say that the parameters have shifted to what our expectations have become for Postecoglou. Do we demand that he wins the league from this stage? No, of course not. What would it require in order for us to win the league from this position? Well, there's a video on that on this channel. You can go back and watch it. But it would require substantial investment in January. And luck. Lots and lots of luck. But what I think Postecoglou sees this as a great start to what is a massive project that will hopefully extend out for the duration of his contract and maybe beyond. Who knows? But whatever it is, this is a great start, obviously. And we'll be grateful of that. And look at what's happening to Tottenham Hotspur holistically. Not just the points on the board. They're fundamentally the most crucial thing. And if there's any world where we can win the Premier League this season, or if there's an opportunity to challenge significantly, then we should take it. But where we are right now is not where we're going to be in 18 months. Tottenham Hotspur will look and be considered to be, as a footballing entity, a completely different thing than we are right now. And fans of other clubs are still painting Tottenham Hotspur with the brush of, it's just Spurs. They will fuck it up. They're not good enough. They have a weak underbelly. And they'd be fair in that assessment because that's what we've been for the last 20, 25 years. But Postecoglou just feels like things are different. And if he was to go now, then I would say that the likelihood of Spursiness returning would be much more it would increase. I'm really excited. And just for everything that's been discussed in this video, those are the reasons why I'm so excited. And the points on the board have been a product of everything that's gone in it, but the points on the board are somewhat inconsequential to what's being built, what might come in the future, if that makes any sense. Anyway, up the Spurs. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you're still with us. Surely a like and a subscribe is worth your while. And you might ask, why is he asking that? Everyone asks that. It's because fundamentally there's this thing called the YouTube algorithm. In order for videos to be seen outside of the people that subscribe, it needs to be engaged with. So if you can do us a favour and do that, that'd be wicked. Leave a comment below. We read those as well. And listen to the podcast out on Mondays and Thursdays every week. See ya.